You had recently started talking about coming to the end of a cycle and starting a new one.
Bashar has been talking to people on Earth for 40 years of our time. Aside from just the basic reason of helping people, uplifting people, is also preparation for contact with extraterrestrial beings. Because as far as he's concerned, that's part of our future. That's part of our evolution. That doesn't mean everyone will experience it, but those that choose to do so can. And all the information he's giving us is raising our frequency into the timeline where contact happens between us, him, and other extraterrestrial beings. But at the end of this 40-year cycle now, which he has said 40 years is usually the typical cycle for great transformations in human societies, you know, like the whole, biblical 40 years wandering in the desert.
Got it, yeah.
That kind of thing.
Okay.
He is demonstrated several times how things happen in 40-year cycles for humanity. And now that he's at the end of that 40-year cycle, he's basically saying it's sort of all the stuff we've given you, it's time to walk your talk. It's time now for him to deliver actual suggestions for actions we can take in society that may be very challenging for some people, but are the actions that will actually, bit by bit, step by step, month by month, if you are willing to do them, or how much of them you're willing to do, will actually bring us closer to the frequency of contact and in alignment with what he calls the interstellar alliance. So he is now specifically delivering a series of steps for people to do. I don't know what all of them are going to be. He hasn't really projected all of them yet because he's only just given one. He's about transmission at the end of this week. But the first one, again, he's saying you don't have to do this, but the more you do, the closer you get to the frequency of contact. So the first list of suggestions has to do with letting go of conspiracy theories.
That's no fun. I'm out. I'm going to stay here. This lower timeline I'm on is fun.
Yeah. It's going to be challenging for a lot of people to do that.
Interesting. Why? Why is that significant?
Because it leads people down rabbit holes that are disinformation and misinformation. And in a sense, if you stop and think about it, if you really buy into a lot of the things that people talk about in terms of conspiracies, getting too caught up in conspiracy theories itself is a conspiracy because it keeps you going and running over here when something else might be happening over here. So I'll put it out that way. A lot of people who might actually be running conspiracies may want people to believe in other conspiracy theories to keep them preoccupied so they don't know what's going on here. So he's just saying there's just too much disinformation. What you need to do is always check the facts, always go to the source of the information. Don't believe things just because a dozen or 1,000 people say that they're true. He just wants people to start thinking for themselves more rationally and really understand how grounded it's important to be so that they're not just spinning wild tales and getting scared and getting caught up. Because in a sense, he's basically saying, look, the greatest power that, let's say there is someone who wants to do something negative that's in power, that's in a place of power. One of the greatest powers they have is convincing you they have more power than they do. And that's where conspiracies come in. We're controlled by the government, we're controlled by a cabal of secret people. Now, he's not saying there aren't conspiracies. He's just saying a lot of them get spun way out of proportion and people start following these threads hither, thither, and yon, and pretty soon you don't know what's true. So he's saying the vibration of contact and the interstellar alliance is a very narrow bandwidth. And if you're over here doing all of this and getting caught up in all of this, and you don't know what's real and what's true, and you're getting disinformation and misinformation, and you're scared to death because you think this is happening and this is happening, he said you are so far away from that bandwidth that it's going to be difficult for you to come back. So he's suggesting to people, again, he's saying, you don't have to do this. It's up to you. Because we all have the power to choose. But he's saying, but here's the bandwidth of the interstellar alliance. Here's the bandwidth of open contact with ETs. And it's not about falling down the rabbit hole of all these conspiracy theories. So I don't know what he's going to come up with next. and after that, and after that. But he's basically saying each of these steps that he's delivering once a month, you keep doing them. You don't just do step 1 and stop and then do step 2.
Got it.
You do step 1
Stack them.
and you stack them. Step 2, you keep doing step 1. Step 3, you keep doing 1 and 2, and on and on and on, till he's building in you a particular energy, a particular momentum that, again, is not only a navigation tool to take you in that direction if that's where you want to go, but it also gets us to really take the physical actions in our society that are really representative of the kind of reality we say we want.
Right, right.
So that's why I'm saying he's now getting people to walk their talk. It's time to really apply these things in physical reality. And